Romania, St. Petersburg. Oh, one of my favorite places. Love it. Argentina, Ecuador. Oh, really fantastic. Argentina. Oh my gosh, these are all the places on my bucket list of places to go when we're allowed to travel again. So hello everyone. Thank you very much for saying hello and for contributing to the chat. Sylvie, we will be finished before an hour's up. Don't worry. Don't worry at all. So a very warm welcome to everybody joining me here on Click Meeting in the webinar, and to those of you who are joining on social media on Facebook. It's lovely to see you here. Thank you so much for giving up your valuable time with me. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping information before we start. Just so you know, this session is being recorded. And you will actually receive a link to the recording and your personalised certificate within 72 hours of this event. So obviously you've registered, for those of you on the webinar, you've registered, and you will therefore receive a link to the recording with your personalised certificate. So if you do have to drop off before I finish and you do want to watch the last part, then obviously you'll be able to do that, which is good. Okay, so this session then is all about teaching for exams with senses, colours and numbers, which sounds like an interesting title for a session. It seems quite specific, doesn't it? But really we're thinking about how we all when we're thinking about creating an exam preparation course. So it's going to be an interactive session. I'm going to ask you to do things in the chat. So please do share your ideas and your experiences and all of those things as well. So look at the items in my table. These are all types of what? Can you let me know in the chat box? These are all types of what? Hello from Macedonia. Hello to Macedonia. We've got method, syllabuses, learning, approach, learning, tasks. Okay, lovely. Let's give everyone time to contribute. Okay, activities, approaches, syllabuses. Lots of different ideas. Learning, yeah, okay. All of those things might be true, to be honest. Absolutely right, yeah. But the thing that I have particularly in mind in terms of today's session is syllabuses, or syllabi, if you prefer that word. Yeah, so of course they relate to different types of learning as well. But when we're thinking about organising, how we organise lessons on an exam preparation course, we need to think about the syllabus of that course. And so there are different types of syllabuses that we might use. So we have a structural syllabus, which is basically based on grammar. So everything is ordered around grammar, which is organised in a particular way. Then we have a skills-based syllabus where everything is based around the 4 skills, or maybe not all 4 skills. It could be 1 or 2 of the skills, and probably the sort of sub-skills involved with those particular skills. We've got topic-based, where every unit, or maybe every module, or every week of learning, every sort of section of learning is all built around a particular topic. We have content-based learning, where it's based around content rather than a topic. So that would be probably for CLIL, wouldn't it? Something like science teachers. You'd have a unit of learning which would be on air, for example, or elements or something like that. Then we've got notional functional syllabus, which is based around ideas and functions. So being able to convey ideas and be able to convey particular functions like apologise and give opinions and all of those kinds of things. Situational syllabus based around situations that we might find ourselves in when we're communicating. Task-based, so everything is built around tasks that learners work towards. And of course, you might have a learner-generated syllabus where, especially if you're doing a one-to-one exam preparation class, where everything, it really comes from the learner. So how you organise your syllabus really depends on what the learner wants to do quite often. So which of these do you think exam preparation course books generally use? What type of syllabus might you find in an exam preparation course book? What do you think? In the chat box, please. Task-based, topic-based, skills-based, structural-based. We've got a real wide variety. Interesting, yeah. So quite a few topic-based, content and skills, topic and task-based. Okay, yeah, interesting. So real variety there. And I think that you're probably all correct, aren't you, to some degree? I would say task, content, yeah. All of them, yeah. Yeah, to some degree. Perhaps not so much situational. What do you think? Situational and probably functional language comes into it, because especially when you're writing like emails for preliminary or informal or formal letters in first or advanced, for sure you'd look at functional language, absolutely. So all of these things are involved, but in terms of what you would base your syllabus, I think it tends to be these four. So course books tend to be a mix, don't they? Although I would say that a lot of course books are structural in nature, but with exams it's very different. And I just thought I'd share with you how. So I remember one of the earliest exam preparation course books that I was involved in. My partner and I actually, it was very low tech. We got together in her kitchen, and she'd actually sellotape lots of pieces of A4 paper together. So we had a huge sheet of paper. We drew all the lines for the syllabus, all the rows. So we had all the units, and then we basically filled it in with sticky notes. So what we actually did was we start with task-based, because the learners have to complete exam tasks. So I think that's where, I mean, other writers might do it differently, but tend to start with the tasks, putting in the exam tasks, making sure that we cover all the exam tasks twice, more if possible, depending on how many there are. And so it tends to be logical. So you might obviously start in Unit 1, you've got all Part 1s. In Unit 2, you've got all Part 2s, and so on. Then the next thing is to think about, well, what skills do learners have to need to be able to have in order to complete those tasks successfully. So then it's thinking about exam skills and strategies. So sub-skills maybe, so things like being able to listen for attitude or listen for gist, for example. And then of course those go in next to then we think about those. And then I think the next thing is probably considering topics, because actually the topics and the grammar and vocabulary are influenced very much by each other. So we know that we have to put certain vocabulary in, and we need certain topics. So then we sort of start thinking, well, where can we put these topics? Where can we put the language? Where does it work with the tasks? It's a bit of a minefield, I have to say, and I'm sure those of you who've created syllabuses before, you'll be very aware of that. But we do include all of those things. Now, thinking about topics then, or topic-based in particular, because that's the focus for today. I should say, actually, before I do that, sorry. So if you are ever thinking of creating a syllabus preparation course for Cambridge, then there are certain things I think that are really vital, really useful tools. Obviously, you've got the handbooks. They give you the exam task types, so you can see there exactly what learners have to do. And then you can see the handbook, because it outlines the skills that are tested in each task type. So then you can say, right, okay, so learners need to be able to listen for gist or listen for attitude. So which task does that fit with? Where can I put it in? Make sure that learners cover that sub-skill. And also, of course, you can think about the strategies as well. And then, of course, we need to think about grammar that is commonly tested. And you can find that in English Grammar Profile. Obviously, that's often used because that is Cambridge. And of course, Pearson's own Global Scale of English has very, very useful grammar objectives at different levels. So you can see the type of grammar that appears at different levels. With vocabulary, you have the English vocabulary profile, which is what exam writers would probably use. But there's also the global scale of English from Pearson, which has the common vocabulary at different levels, which is incredibly useful to look at. And then, of course, we can think about topics which commonly appear. Again, you can look at the vocabulary on the global scale of English, for example, look at past papers. And then, of course, we need to take, depending on who we're using it with, we need to think about learners' needs and wants for the specific class that we're looking at or specific context. Thinking about topics which commonly appear, what are they? Could you let me know in the chat box? What topics tend to come up in Cambridge exams? All levels, but you can give me different levels if you like. So we've got, because it will differ, of course, at the higher levels, yes. So if we think about sort of B1, B2, maybe that's a good start. So we've got family, tourism, technology, school, books, relationships, art, environment, education, food, entertainment, emotions. Yeah, absolutely. All of those things there. Yeah, definitely. And you're right. They tend to be more abstract, don't they, as you move through the levels. So as we go higher up, it tends to be a lot more abstract. Someone was talking about sort of more academic type topics, of course. We might have different genres of literature. Absolutely, yeah. So we've got, globalization, very big topic, of course. So these are sort of common things that come up. So those are typical topics that you find in the exam, and also topics that you find in course books as well, of course. Climate change, health, yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. So if we think then, if we have a topic-based syllabus, if we organise, or at least if we have part of our syllabus is topic-based, in other words, we have every unit is based around a topic. So for example, you have your environment unit, you have your science unit, you have your natural world unit, you have your entertainment unit. Thinking about books that are organised in that way, of which there are many, of which I have written myself, what are the advantages of having a unit which focuses on one of these kinds of topics? In the chat box, please. What are the benefits of having a unit that has a very clear topic? Yeah, common thread, easier to focus, not too much distraction, relevant vocabulary, okay. Vocabulary is well organised, okay. Students are more engaged. You spend less time preparing your classes. That's interesting, Patricia. Why is that, I wonder? It'd be interesting to hear a little bit more about why you feel that way. I'm just trying to think. So everything's there, so you don't feel that you have to go away and find more things on that topic. Okay, because it's all there, so it spans the unit, and therefore you feel that the material's there ready. I think that's, yeah. Okay, that's it. Good. All right, thank you. So you can go through the topic in depth. Okay, very interesting. Thank you. Now, what about the scaffolding? Okay, that works too. So I think I've got the advantages here. Yeah, I mean, the advantages I was thinking of is that obviously when lessons in a unit are, when you've got lessons all on the same topic in a unit, they're very clearly linked. And so it creates cohesion within that unit. It's very clear to learners. I think there's something that it makes you feel comfortable, doesn't it, to know that this is all on this particular topic. If you have different topics in the unit, it's less obvious what the link between those lessons are. Obviously, when you go in depth in one topic in a unit, you can then look at a variety of exam tasks, a variety of language, and a variety of skills within that topic, which is very nice as well. So learners don't just hear or read one type of text, they might see other types of text too, for example. And in terms of exam preparation, they're covering sort of typical exam type topics, which I think is important. What about disadvantages? Okay, I can see you've been preparing your cons, which is brilliant. Thank you for thinking ahead. So the topic might be irrelevant. The topic might be irrelevant, tasks get repetitive, the organisation of every unit is the same. Okay, yeah, yeah, it's predictable. Yeah, it can get boring. It depends. Yeah, motivation, I think, is the key thing, isn't it? So, yeah, I think I would agree with you. So, I mean, it depends on the topic, doesn't it? Motivation wanes, yeah. So I think, topic fatigue, it depends on your context, doesn't it? Now, in my teaching context, so for me, I'd be preparing students who are full-time, studying sort of all day. And so one unit might last a week with supplementary materials maybe. So it doesn't seem so bad, although, like you say, if learners at the beginning of the week don't like the topic, then they're going to be really fed up by the end of the week. And sometimes you have to work really hard, don't you, to make it seem more interesting, and this is different, and look, and you have to bring in other things, so you do have to kind of work it quite hard, I think. If you are teaching on a course where you see your students maybe twice a week, you could still be teaching the same unit on week 3 or 4, couldn't you, of the course? So they arrive for their third lesson and it's like, oh God, not travel and tourism again. So that can be an issue. And because of that, learners can perhaps feel that the pace is a little bit slow, and they may feel that they're not quite making progress, although I'm sure they do, because I'm sure that you help them to see the progress they're making, but it is a potential problem. All of the topic vocabulary comes at once, which some of you were saying was a good thing, and perhaps that is. But we know that actually it seems to be that lexical sets are not particularly the best way for learners to learn language, that often it's because not all of the language is necessarily relevant. So we don't necessarily want all topic vocabulary, I think, to come in lexical sets, for example. And also we want to be able to recycle vocabulary throughout the course. So if you have all your travel and tourism items in Unit 1, then for the rest of the course, there's not necessarily that language going to be recycled. So that can be a problem too. You have lots of opportunities to recycle after the module, during the module. You've got the workbook, you've got My English Lab, you've got all of those lovely things. But it's possible that beyond that, you've then moved on to new topics, and so that language vocabulary might get lost, although again, I'm sure that you are working that hard with your students and making them review vocabulary lots and lots. Yeah, so there are some really good, Gerard, I agree. I think God experiences lots of good vocabulary sections. I agree. Okay, so what can we do to solve this problem? Is there any solution? Is there a solution to the topic fatigue, or do we just continue as we are with units based on topics? What would you suggest? The teacher's the solution. Yes, it is great. Teacher's methodology. Okay. But that makes you have to work hard. Okay. But that's fine, because it makes you creative and you can bring in different things. You can change the topics sometimes, pick and choose the tasks. Yep, you can negotiate with students. Okay. You could, I suppose, jump around units, couldn't you? So you could potentially, I'm not sure what a combination. So using a combination of things, I think. Okay. And of course, yeah, we're going to personalize topics and all of those things. But we could, I suppose, jump around. So we could do some things from Unit 1 and then move to Unit 2 and so on. So we could do that. So yeah, we could do away with topic-based units completely and just have different topics, and maybe just link the units by task type. So it really is a task-based syllabus. So it's very clear that all of these task types have a similar, maybe the receptive skills lessons have the same sub-skill, and the productive skills lessons are linked in some way. So that might work. But we could also, I think, introduce broader and more abstract themes. So when we go a bit more abstract and perhaps choose more broader themes, then I think that it can help a little bit with the fatigue, but we still benefit from having the same topic throughout the unit, but we can actually loosen it up a little bit. So I'm going to share with you what we did with Formula, which is a new exam course, just so that you can see some examples of what we did, because I think it is really interesting. I think it's also it was also a really good process to go through. And I think it would help as a teacher because it can help you to come up with ideas, but also your students could come up with lots of ideas as well. And then they could go away and find material based on, you know, the topics that you come up with. So you could actually get a learner generated sort of, maybe not for the full syllabus, but from additional materials to bring in. So let me show you this. So this is B1 level. Okay, so we're thinking about preliminary. So take a look at the unit. So each unit topic. What do you think the theme of the book is, looking at those topics? Very good, very good. Yeah, and they are quite abstract, aren't they? So they're not the sort of as typical as normal. They are a lot more abstract. So the theme of the book is senses, and each unit is, well, I say each unit has a sense, but of course it doesn't, because there are only 5 senses, and we couldn't really start adding things like, what is it, proprioception, or I'm not sure I pronounce it correctly, but we can't include those. So we've gone with the 5 senses, and then we've added movement, feelings, and danger, because they're very much linked, I think, to sort of senses. Okay, so so a theme, loose topics for each unit. Let's have a look how this works then in terms of, let's pick one. So we'll pick sound. So in the chat box, imagine that you are me 3 years ago. Oh, maybe longer. Gosh, maybe three years ago, something like that, when we were brainstorming ideas on this topic. What lesson topics could there be on the topic of sound? So we've got a reading lesson, a listening lesson. What are lots of different topics related to sound? Music, city, country life, love it. Universe, animals, being blind, yes. Sounds of nature, physics, traffic, urban life. Psychology, interesting one. Yes, you could probably have lots of psychology related to sound. Noise pollution. Oh, interesting you put for higher levels, because actually we put it in this level. Okay. Environment, communication. All right. So just look at the vast pronunciation. That's great. Yeah. We could think about accents, actually, couldn't we? Accents. Maybe, again, maybe not for this level, maybe for higher levels, but that would be good. Oh, inner sound. That's lovely. TikTok, yes. Oh, okay, interesting. Yep, really good. Domestic devices and tools. So look at the breadth of ideas here that could go into one unit. And I think that is, yeah, I think that's really interesting. Okay, let's go to smell. What about smell? Topics on smell. And I should say, by the way, that we didn't just think about sort of topics related to sound or smell. We also thought sometimes about language or phrases related to them as well. The brain, cooking, perfumes, flowers. Yeah, idioms. Yeah, idioms. So there might be, is there an idiom with smell in it? Can you think of anything? I did a lot of searching for idiomatic language throughout this, when we're putting this syllabus together. Nature, trips, shopping because of perfume, maybe? Is that what you're thinking about? Wet ground. Oh, now wet ground. What would be a lesson? How could you build a lesson around the topic of wet ground? There's going to be, you're absolutely going to come up with something. Smell the coffee. That is a great expression. So wet ground. What would be an interesting topic on that, do you think? We could expand that. Come out smelling like roses. Brilliant. So wet ground, bringing back memories, maybe. Yes, the smell of wet ground when you were camping, perhaps, to smell a rat. Absolutely. These are all things that we had on our list. And like I say, you could get students coming up with a lot of these ideas, and then they could be tasked with choosing one and going away and finding something interesting to read it and come and share what they've learned, or to actually choose something for others to read too, maybe. When it starts to rain, yes, that has a word in English, and it's actually in the book, and I've completely forgotten what it is. Does anyone remember what it is? It's that smell of rain after a dry spell, and it's called... Petrichor. Thank you very much, petrichor. Thank you. Okay, so this is what we had in the book. So for sound, we've got, because obviously it's B1, so we had to be very careful. Obviously that things like smell the coffee, lovely expression. I suppose we could have had something on, we actually have something on coffee in B2. That's why we didn't put it into B1. But yeah, some of the things we couldn't put in because it was just a bit too abstract for this level. So we obviously had to cover the typical topics at this level, and we needed to cover the vocabulary that's in the vocabulary list for preliminary. So we needed to be maybe a little bit more less abstract than in others. But we've got sound effects in films, music, silent cafe, so eating out, noise pollution, whistling languages, communication in general, and a different meaning of sound, Milford Sound in New Zealand, which is the #1 place on my bucket list, I have to say. And if we look at the topics in terms of kind of typical, or if we think about the vocabulary list for preliminary, you've got entertainment, food and drink, the environment, communication and travel, all in one unit. So there's still a very clear topic. It's sound. That definitely comes all the way through. But it's not, but there are such a variety, I think, within the units that I think it can help with that fatigue. You loved Milford Sound, did you, Susanna? Oh, I envy you. One day I'll get there, hopefully. And then in terms of smell, we had animal senses, scent tourism. So actually people traveling to certain places in order to experience certain smells. From smell-o-vision to smell-o-phone. So actually, apparently this is a thing. We were a little bit loose with the term smell. We went with nose. So advantages of being nosy and curious. Holiday experiences. So this is to do with smelly seaweed, that sort of things that go wrong on holiday, or things that happen that are unexpected on holiday. The sweet smell of success, and favourite memories, as someone mentioned. That's where the petrichor comes up. And again, if we think about sort of traditional topics, we've got the natural world, we've got travel, we've got entertainment, we've got education, we've got travel, works and jobs, because actually it's somebody talking about the being a holiday rep in that particular lesson as well. We've got sport in terms of the sweet smell of success, and actually visualization. It's about visualizing success. And actually, you know, imagining the smells that you will experience when you experience success, that you will smell, and favourite memories as well, and that's to do with experiences. So again, quite a wide variety at B1, but still there's a topic across the unit. Gregory's saying you could get students to fold their eyes and smelling different things. You could. So there's quite a lot of opportunity there. I mean, our senses are really, you know, I love bringing senses into my lessons. I'm not particularly a neuro-linguistic I'm not particularly into neuro-linguistic approaches or anything, but I do love that, because I just think when you start thinking with your senses, you just have more to say. Basically, you see things differently, you have more to say about it. So have a look here, for example. So in Unit 1, we've got students predicting how sounds are made in films. So thunder, any ideas how thunder is made in films? Rain, fire, heart beating, flying animals, birds, I would say, bone breaking. Any ideas? Let me know in the chat box. What do you think? Rustling paper. Which one's that for, Susanna? I think that's possibly for fire. Do you say? Sounds from nature, maybe a cracker. For what sound, Gerard? For thunder, maybe? Okay. So wood cracking. So fire, yeah, okay. And wood cracking, would that be the bone breaking? Okay. Oh, okay. I've forgotten what you said now. I've got a terrible memory. What did you say? Oh, the cracker. Okay, for the bone breaking. Drums for thunder. Yeah, I mean, there are probably a variety of things, aren't they? Because people can be very creative in this kind of work. Yeah, human voice. Yeah, I'm sure. Car on the road in wet weather, shower for rain. Yeah, I mean, there are different ways, but some of them are, I'll let you know. So thunder is apparently, or one good way of doing it is to have a sheet of aluminium metal and to sort of wiggle it like this. Rain is often frying bacon in a pan. So frying meat in a pan, the sizzle sounds like rain. Fire is a crisp packet, scrunched up. Heart beating. So one technique could be, for example, getting, again, you've got to be creative, getting a metal bin, turning it upside down and then just pushing on the top because it kind of moves up and down, doesn't it, the bottom? Yeah, vegetable chopping, yes. Okay, carrot for a bone breaking, or celery, snapping it. And the flying animal is actually a glove, that kind of noise that birds make when they fly above, flapping it next to the microphone. So, I think it's an interesting topic in the topic of sound. And I think it's hopefully an engaging one to engage learners, particularly at the beginning of the unit. And then as we move on, we get students, so we can start thinking about, students can think about films or TV shows that they like, and thinking about how we might add smell. So if you had a smell-o-vision version of a film or TV show on your phone, what smell would need to be emitted to make you feel it? So can you think of a scene from a film or TV show? I must admit, when I was thinking about this earlier, the first thing that came to mind was Silence of the Lambs, when Clarice goes to talk to Hannibal Lecter. And I was thinking about the sort of the damp smell you would need to have, and perhaps I don't know, I think sort of a clean smell from Hannibal Lecter, because I think he looked after himself, but maybe slight smell of sweat from Clarice as she gets nervous. I mean, there are lots of things that you could do with this, aren't there? So again, it's sort of hopefully developing learners' creativity as well as exam preparation skills, because we want learners to enjoy their course as well, and to practice using English in an interesting way. So, we've got a variety of things in that particular lesson. So hopefully, smell of chocolate would be perfect for any happy scene. Oh no, please don't say that, because I'm not allowed to have chocolate at the moment. I'm off chocolate. And if I start thinking of the smell, I'll want some. Okay. Okay, let's move on to B2 then. So B2 is all about colours in B2. So let's think about topics in terms of colours. So let's go with blue. Let's go with blue first. Topics around blue, please. What would you go with? Yeah, feeling blue, sea, yeah, moods, emotions, ocean. Jeans, that's a good one. Didn't think of that one. Environment, okay. Oh, environment, that's interesting. I would associate that with green, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, blue areas for sure. Sky, space, mood. Again, bugs from Disney. I don't think we'd be allowed to use that in a book, unfortunately. Hope, Gladys, that's an interesting one. I don't associate blue with hope, so I guess that's a cultural thing. And actually, we do start off that unit, blue, talking about associations with blue, because of course in different cultures it's going to be very different. Blue suede shoes, yeah. Aliens again, okay, interesting. Do we say little blue men? What do we say in English? We say little green men, I think. Again, we say green. So it is very interesting, I think, that the association with colour. Greece, yeah. Oh, this looks like Greece in the picture, doesn't it? Or somewhere like that. And there's certainly that place in Greece that's very blue. Yeah, lovely. Okay, Picasso. Oh, wonderful ideas. Yes, thank you very much. Let's move to pink. What about pink? What would you go for there? And again, you can think about idiomatic expressions or phrases with the word pink. Barbie doll, gender roles, Pink Panther, passion, watermelon, yum. Romance, yes. Feathers, interesting, okay. I love all these are brilliant. So again, we've got quite a lot of, feminism, girl empowerment. Oh, is it girl empowerment? Interesting. Okay, so what is it you can see in the picture? Do you recognise what's in the picture? Yeah, so we've got cotton candy, or candy floss, as we say in the UK. Okay, so let's have a look. So in the blue topic, for example, we've got in the blue unit 1, we've got topics such as Once in a Blue Moon. So this is a reading text all about unusual natural phenomena that happen very, very rarely. This particular lesson is all about, what is it called? The fire. Is it going to come out? Oh, maybe I haven't actually copied it. It's a fire. I've completely forgot what it is. I'm going to have a look in a minute and see. It's a natural phenomenon where you get, I'll have a look and tell you what it's called, but things that don't happen very often in nature. So that's that. And of course, that then allows for things like encouraging learners to research a rare event and write a fact sheet about it. This is a kind of an optional task at the end of the lesson. If students want to do some further writing, they can then present it to the class. But I think thinking about rare events in nature is an interesting topic. Special moon state, for example, black swan. Okay, lovely. Yeah, so they're all about phenomena. Yeah. And then we've got this one. Oh, no, not that one here. So we've got things. So the last time you received surprising news or something unexpected happened, how is that related? So unexpected things that happen, how is that related to the color blue? Thank you, Edita. Yeah, so out of the blue. So things that happen out of the blue. And we've also got other topics as well. So we've got a topic related to sea and ocean versus mountain, green mountains versus blue sea and blue sky of the ocean. Next to the ocean, we have, you'll see another thing that we have later on as well. And in terms of pink, some of you mentioned this, so, you know, we can ask students, have a look at the picture. What do you notice about this picture? So some of you were talking about gender empowerment, but when you look at this picture, does it concern you in any way when you see this picture, or do you feel that it is empowering for females? Yep, so you see a girl. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a colour we associate it, absolutely. So, okay. So the fact that she's wearing pink and she's riding a pink bike with a pink flower in it, does that concern you in any way? It's very stereotypical. Why a pink flower? So it doesn't concern you? Okay, no, that's fine, interesting. Childhood freedom. Okay, yeah. So again, this is going to be very cultural. It's interesting. But certainly in the UK, I would say that these days we're a little bit concerned by these girls' obsession with pink. Actually, it's not just a girl's obsession with pink. It's also the boys' obsession with blue. There was a really interesting documentary a few years ago where they actually did an experiment with two primary school classes. For example, you know, the boys only wanted to play with the blue and the girls only wanted to play with the pink. But when you gave them toys that were neutrally coloured, and when you go into a toy shop here in the UK, everything is pink and blue. It's all divided. But when you actually give them free toys that are in neutral packaging, the boys were sewing and quite happy to sew, and the girls were playing with Meccano and mechanical things and were having a great time. And it just, you know, so it really depends on society, but it is an interesting topic and it's something to, I think, to discuss. So, you know, you could get students, if, again, it depends, this is one of the optional tasks at the end, but you could get students to write a short email to a toy company or a company that makes games or clothes stating your concern. So if that is something that is concern of them, for them, or they can opt for the speaking, which is discussing whether it concerns them or not and debating that topic. And then, of course, we've got other things as well. So rose-tinted glasses, for example, comes up in this unit as well. Exactly, Gerard. How do we know it's a girl? Yeah, absolutely. And we could completely, and again, it depends on the culture, but you could extend that into further issues in our society. Absolutely. So that would definitely, it would depend. It wouldn't come up necessarily in the exams, but it would certainly be perhaps something that you want to talk about in your classroom. It would create some interesting discussion, or it could be something you might want to avoid depending on your context. Okay, so if we think about this particular level, B2, if we take one theme, one topic, places, for example, it comes up 3 times in the book. So it comes up in Unit 1, in the Unit Blue, and it's La Casa Azul, which is the home of, oh my goodness me, I'm forgetting all my, the artist, somebody, thank you, Frida Kahlo. So Frida Kahlo lived here in Mexico, and it is now a museum to her life. And it's all about how your home reflects you as a person. So that's in blue, because the home was blue. And then we have another place later on in Unit 4, which is the Pink City. And this comes, so the first one is a listening. It comes in the form of a radio program. Here we have a short article about the Pink City, which is Jaipur in India. And then we have a topic of Unit 7, which is green spaces, and that is a speaking lesson. It's a discussion. They listen to something first, and it's that they listen to a discussion and have a discussion. So here we have the topic that comes up 3 times in the course, but not in the same unit. So this is the thing. The topics that come up quite regularly, things like entertainment and so on, they pop up throughout the book, but not all in the same unit at the same time. And I think that's useful because it just gives learners a little bit of space between them, so they don't have that topic fatigue. Okay, let's move on to the final, the C1 level, which is, well, tell me what the theme is here, please. I think I've created a monster now. We've started talking about pink, haven't I? I've created a monster. So it's interesting. So some of you are looking at the pictures, but actually those of you that are saying numbers are absolutely correct. So the topic of each unit is the number of the unit. So the topic of Unit 1 is 1. The topic of Unit 2 is 2. The topic of Unit 3, and so on. So we're just going to look at one of these, and this is now obviously a lot more abstract, but at C1 the topics are a lot more abstract anyway. So yes, yum, and it's nearly that time, isn't it? So what can we see here, and how does it relate to the number 4? Sorry, Miriam, sorry. It is tea time, and what time is tea time? Okay, yeah. So we talk about high tea, we talk about afternoon tea, and it's traditionally taken at sort of 4 o'clock in the afternoon, although I'm quite happy to eat this for breakfast, to be perfectly honest. Okay, another thing I can't eat at the moment, which is unfortunate. So 5 in Europe, absolutely 5 in Europe, yeah. So it depends where you are. Okay, so this is the topic of afternoon tea. 5 o'clock tea in England. Oh, I think we usually say high tea is 4 o'clock, Alessandra, to be honest. And usually when you go to hotels, it's usually served between 3 and 5. Sometimes, of course, the Ritz starts serving it about 11 o'clock just so they can make lots of money from it. Okay, what other topics? 4 plates on a table. Thank you very much. So you could talk about meal times and traditions at meal times, perhaps. So high tea is basically, it's a little afternoon snack with tea and little sandwiches and little cakes. It's very, very posh. So yeah, high tea is usually taken at 4 o'clock. That's where it comes from. So we've got 4 seasons. Thank you. 4 forks on the table. We have. What other things come in 4s? For example, traditional family unit. Interesting. Carbs versus nutrients. Cecilia, explain, how does that relate to 4? My science is rubbish. 4 quarters of the year, financial, 4 legs of a table. 4 directions, yeah, absolutely right. Brilliant, thank you. It gets more difficult, doesn't it? I'm really glad I wasn't involved in the writing of this book, I have to say, because I think it was a lot more difficult to come up with things. 4 wheels, yes, so transport, 4-leaf clover, so luck would come into it. So, again, we could come up with lots of ideas here for topics. Okay, I'm going to share 4 hands. 4 hands, Ahmed. Who has 4 hands? What does that mean in your culture? It would be very interesting to hear more about that. Okay, so this is what we've got in the unit. We've got a lot of the things you've come up with. So brilliant afternoon tea, looking at seasonal shift, so how the seasons are sort of seem to be shifting these days. I don't know about you, but we've had summer, but it's actually been winter for a lot of it, or at least autumn. Luck, so 4-leaf clover, bad luck. And also in a lot of cultures, the number 4 is bad luck as well. Sense of direction, so thinking about the 4 points of a compass, the 4th dimension, 24-hour charity challenges and national celebrations, so July the 4th. So again, these are topics that are quite varied in nature, but they all come under a theme. So it's very clear to learners what it is they're learning. They can see that there's a topic and it's all cohesive. However, I think there's a lot of variety in there. Haha, says Ahmed. Hardworking is 4 hands, Patricia, is that right? So you talk about having 4 hands and that means that people are working. Okay, to have 4 things to avoid. Oh my goodness me, all the things I love. Okay, thank you very much. So loads of really good ideas there. The moon, yes, 4 phases of the moon you could have. Okay. So it's a case of coming up with those ideas and then thinking about what you can actually do with those particular ideas in the classroom. And in terms of language, I think as well, you have the opportunity when you're looking at different, when you've got, I guess you could argue if it was the same theme in the same unit, it would be the same, but I think this is more spread out. So if we look here, these are excerpts from audio script. So the one at the top is about, this comes from tea times. This is from unit 4. So this is about afternoon tea. And there's some really lovely language there. And then the second one comes from later in the unit. So I can't remember the unit now. I think it's unit 6. And no, it's unit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the 5 things that vegans omit from their diet. So actually it's very, very similar to the things that you were talking about with regards to 4. So this comes up in unit 5. So we've got we've got food as the theme, food and meal and eating habits. So in one unit, we've got the audio script at the top, and then in the next unit, we've got the one at the bottom. So they don't come next to each other in the unit, they come spaced out. But what you've got here on the top is, of course, I would say a more informal text, and then at the bottom you've got a slightly more formal talk, I would say, because if you look at the language, you've got things like, your stomach is rumbling away, stave off the hunger pangs, wash down, so you wash down biscuits with a mug of tea, it's a habit I've been indulging in. So you've got some really nice and some slightly more, I would say, sort of informal expressions, and then you've perhaps got some more formal words like omit, for example, in the next text. So you've got the same topic being dealt with in slightly different ways, but it's spaced out. So it's not within the same unit. So learners can experience hearing language on the same topic. But I think the fact that it is in different units can be very beneficial. Language can be recycled. Grammar might pop up again. Vocabulary comes up again, of course. And then it's extended. It might be different formality and so on. So hopefully I've given you a sense of how we organise a syllabus for an exam preparation course book in a way that I think helps to address some of the issues of the topic-based syllabus. Hopefully we'll reduce the topic fatigue through this particular approach. So because there are different units, different topics for every lesson within the unit, but there is an overarching abstract theme, I think it hopefully helps with that. And because of that, hopefully learners don't feel that it's like, oh God, are we still on the travel unit? But they can feel that there is a sense of pace there, that you're not just wading through the same things every time, but you are approaching new things each lesson. Hopefully they feel that there is a greater sense of progress by doing that. And also the topic vocabulary is spread out through the course. So there are lots of opportunities for recycling throughout and extending further. So it's not just all done in one time. Of course, we need to continue those recycling opportunities, don't we? Lots and lots of recycling. Somebody mentioned Gold Experience and saying it has a really good vocabulary review section after each unit. So does this book as well. It's very similar. So that can be utilised. And of course, you've got additional materials too. So there's the exam trainer. More recycling opportunities, I would say, because they recycle throughout. And overall, I think what's really important is it reflects the exam experience more, doesn't it? Because when they go into the exam, students do not do a whole listening paper on animals or a whole listening paper on travel. These topics are different for each of the tasks. And so when they're working through an exam preparation course book organized like this, then they can at least see different, they can see the different topics with an overriding sort of theme, but it is more like the exam. Okay, yeah, thank you, Gerard. I think that's a good point too. Thank you very much. So I hope that's been of interest. Idea really, and if you're not creating your own syllabus, you are obviously selecting course books, and I hope it's given you an idea of the kind of thing that Formula can offer. So this is Formula, the new exam preparation book. It is designed for adults, but we do also cover for schools. So if you have a mixed class, for example, where you might have some sort of 16, 17-year-olds that you might enter for schools, you might have some adults in there as well. If you're in a private language school, you could obviously use that. Yeah, the idea is that hopefully we will engage learners through, a varied topic approach. But if you are creating your own syllabus, then hopefully it's given you some ideas of ways to brainstorm and come up with ideas and maybe get your students involved as well. Yep, so the link there. So thank you very much to Anya for sharing the link. And, 8 units are not enough. Yes, well, there's quite a lot of material, and there's also a lot of additional material. So there are a lot of resources online that really do expand what's in each unit. So I think the feedback we get is that there are, that 8 units tends to be sufficient. But the idea of this book, so this book has a particular approach, okay? And that is, it has a bit of you can take different tracks through the book. So if you have a short course, there is actually an exam trainer. So if you're teaching students for just 30 hours, you might use the exam trainer. It's designed for self-study. It's designed to be a workbook alongside the course book, but it can be standalone. If you're teaching a sort of a course up to 40 hours, for example, you might just use the course book and just use the material every unit. If you have a course that goes up to 60 or 70 hours, there's an additional book in the back of the book with additional exam preparation tasks and activities and information in, so you would use that. And then if you have a 100+ hour course, you would use this book, you would use the exam trainer, and you would use all the wonderful resources as well. So it's actually designed to be very, very flexible. So if you feel that 8 units aren't enough, believe me, once you've used all the material, you'll feel that there is sufficient material there. If anyone has any questions on Facebook or here within the group, please do pop them into the chat. I'm going to have a quick look and see if anything has come up. Bear with me. So I'm just, now I can't get onto my, come on, let me go to the chat. Thank you very much. Okay. The samples are okay. I'm not sure what you mean there about overlapped. Oh, is this in the link? Perhaps you might need to explain that a bit more, just in case there's something I can help with there. Yeah, good. I'm glad you think it will be refreshing. I think we found it refreshing when we were writing it, that's for sure. Okay, so no questions so far. How many contact hours is it for, Tatiana? Yep, so as I said, it could be anything from 30 hours up to over 100, depending on what path you take through the course. So basically, there are some schedules created for you which tell you what to use, and it's actually more or less a syllabus created which tells you that, if you have a 50-hour course, then this is what you can do for lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. This is the material you can set for homework and so on. So actually you can find those when you purchase a book and you go onto the Pearson English portal. You can actually see all of that material. So it's all created for you, but it's very, very flexible. It depends how long you want to, how much you want to use it for. Okay, I don't think there are any more questions. So thank you for attending. Oh, here we go. As content developer, do you get learners' feedback before the final submission? Yes. So, I mean, I'm not yes. So what happens is that we have teachers in various countries who will look over the material and give us feedback, and they are invaluable. They are wonderful because, yeah, they do tell us this would be very interesting, or this would be interesting, or perhaps you could do this with it or that with it. And so their feedback is really, really useful. So yeah, absolutely. So we do talk to teachers. We often talk to learners. Do they look at the material? Sometimes they do look at the material. We often get feedback from learners before writing a course book to find out what they want and what their needs are as well. Okay. What other components for the book? So as I said, there's the course book. There's also the exam trainer, which is designed to be it's a colourful workbook, but it's also more of a trainer. It's like the exam trainers you get where there are tips and so on. And there's also a teacher's book with it, so you can teach with it as well. So that would be for a short course or as a workbook. So just lots of thank yous, I think. So thank you very, very much. I think I'm going to let you go. Don't forget, is it possible to receive a sample copy of the books? If you go to the link that was shared above, so I'll just share it again. Just bear with me. You can download some sample units, and you can contact your local Pearson rep and, oh, what did I just do the right thing? Hopefully that worked out the right way. Did I share the link? The book doesn't come with a DVD. It comes with digital resources that are downloadable. So you can download them and you can use them offline if you want to as well. So it's basically a digital course book. Yeah, so the link is in here. Thank you, Anya. So Anya shared the link. And if you click on that, you can get a sample unit. I think that's everything. So thank you very much, everybody. If you're still with me, thank you very much for staying. It's been wonderful to hear from you. Is it available in platforms like Blink Learning? So basically, it's Pearson English Portal. It's the tool that they use. Anya, you might be able to expand. The portal, you sign up, you register, it's completely free with Pearson. You purchase the book. You can get a digital code if you just want to use the digital version. So speak to Pearson. If you go to that link, you'll be able to get in touch with someone, and you can then just get a code, and then you have the digital resources. Your students can have the digital resources all there. So it works in the same way, I think. Certificate of attendance you'll be receiving along with a link to the recording of this video within 72 hours. So you will get that within 72 hours. That will go to the address you registered with. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been lovely having you here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your contributions. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'm sure I'll see you again. And thank you for joining us here and on Facebook. Bye all. Bye.